Graeme Wands, thank you so much for bringing me to your favourite bar, which is the Horseshoe Bar in Glasgow.
Yeah, hi, welcome.
Look at that.
Yeah, bit quiet today, though, Gary.
It's a bit quiet today. We're in a bit early. Yeah, well, they always use, I don't know about Glasgow, but they say that it's always 5:30 somewhere.
That is true. I mean, this is a great pub. It's very crowded normally, so we're very lucky to have it to ourselves this morning. Normally you're elbow to elbow, six deep at the bar. So, and
Am I right in saying that it's actually a horseshoe? It's actually shaped.
it's shaped in the horseshoe shape. That's where it gets its name from.
Wow.
And it was, I think, not sure you're aware, but it was at one point in time the longest bar in the world.
The longest bar in the world in the centre of Glasgow
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Be a
Glasgow was
spot now.
Glasgow was the second city of the empire at one point, so they
Of
say.
course. In the Mother City, isn't it? Isn't that the song? Mother
That's it.
Glasgow.
That's the one. Yeah.
Now there's a blue there's a blue behind my left shoulder. Is this a Rangers bar by any
Oh,
chance?
this is a pub for everyone. This is it's one of these bars where that doesn't matter. You know, sometimes Glasgow's got bars where it will have one um, team over another, but this isn't one of them. This is a bar for everybody who can come in and enjoy themselves. It's also now you're downstairs in the bar itself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also the hotspot of Glasgow's most famous and busiest karaoke bar, which is upstairs, which is booking only. You can only get in it by booking. Yeah, and it's I mean you get some pop stars rocking up there when they're in town. They'll come in and the Rod Stewart sang in there and all sorts of people. So you just don't know who you're going to get. Now I'm not a karaoke singer, but my wife likes to do it, so I've got to get dragged in there occasionally. So
I don't associate Scotland or Glasgow with karaoke singing. So there you go. There's another wrinkle on my ass.
yeah, and the food's not bad. Yeah, you'll get a
Yeah.
decent pub grub in here as well, and it's in the Tennent's Lager, the old Scottish lager's pretty good in here.
I have to tell you a quick story. When I was one of my very first jobs was actually as a very bad barman in a Dublin pub, and they were trying to pitch tenants. They were trying to break in, and on more than one occasion, guys came up, and I thought they'd said 10 pints of Tennent's lager, and I'd get 10 pints, and they just look at me and go, "No, I just want 1 pint of Tennent's."
Yeah.
So I'm sure I wasn't the first and last barman, but on bars, and you've mentioned there, it's probably the only way that it can continue to survive now by being like a food bar and a bit of entertainment, because we don't have the guys sitting on the stools all day anymore, do we?
Well, you see a few of them in here occasionally. So there's always, the kind of the people just lucky enough to be able to spend all day, every day in the bar. But yeah, you're right. I think, well, I go back and forth to Dublin quite a lot. So there's a lot of characters I come across in those pubs. But I think they need to offer a bit of variety to appeal to, to everybody. And also, it's not bad to have a bite to eat. Keeps you going, keeps your stamina up.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It's also an excuse to the wife that you're not actually out drinking. I'm having food. I'm going down to karaoke.
Yeah. But listen, don't underestimate karaoke. It doesn't look like this. This is kind of more traditional wooden bar. Upstairs, quite modern, but it's jumping at the weekend. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I know exactly. And once you put it out on Facebook or on TikTok or something, so then it's a place. So we're sitting there, both of us. We're the only two in the bar. Tell me something that I wouldn't know about Graeme Wands.
Right, okay, let's have a think about that. Well, hobbies would be a good place to start. So, as far as things, and the two hobbies I'm going to talk about are things that I've learned in later life, right? So, there weren't things that I did as a young man. Wasn't until like in my early 40s where I had an opportunity to do either of them. And the first one would be I am a qualified skipper. So you and I could take a yacht out, Gary. We could disappear over the horizon together. Not sure how far we would get because it's a coastal skipper. But, I know a way around about a boat, can take it out, we do that very often on holidays. So we've chartered boats in the Caribbean and Mediterranean, Greece, Croatia. So that's something. And then, in addition, the other one is I'm a fairly competent horse rider. So that is something that I had to do to learn to spend time with my wife. I would have been the opposite of a golf widow. She kept horses, I've never bloody seen her. So in order to try and keep up, I had to learn to ride one.
It's just okay. So they're quite one's very land and one's very sea. But
Yeah.
um, why the boat? I mean, was
Well, we
it
went
just
holiday one year. We went to one of these, I can't remember the company, Nielsen, that's what it was.
yeah
I can't. I'm pale Scottish guy. Right? I can't sunbathe, so I've got to have activities to keep me
yeah
entertained. So we went on a sailing activity holiday. So you could do windsurfing, canoeing, and then these guys had yachts as well. And we got talking to some people and says, "How do you do that?" And he says, "Well, you can book a course," which we did. So you had a week learning, then you had a week sailing. How we ended to come back to land in one piece, me and Mrs. Wands, I don't know. But then that matured into then doing proper qualifications, and then our friends got interested in it, and they had teenage kids. So we started going on holiday with them, and it kind of grew from there. Actually, to the point where last year were able to go a boys' one, and me and my friend Gary, we took a catamaran all the way around Antigua, where it's a boys' holiday, and the girls they went to Nashville. So it kind of worked something out there for everybody. So
and
good fun.
these boats have sails and the whole thing.
Oh, the real deal. Yeah,
The real
absolutely. Yeah,
deal.
yeah, real
So
deal.
it's not
So,
it's not like one that has a big engine and
oh no, well they've got an engine because if everything goes wrong,
yeah
you need an engine. But these are 45 foot yachts or catamarans, like in that region. So, but you don't own a boat because they say that the best 2 days in a skipper's life is the day that he buys it, the days that he sells it, because it's just a money pit
yeah yeah.
after
No, I
that.
heard that.
So
All right. The one thing, what is it? How do you make a million? How do you get €1 million out of a yacht? Put 2 million in.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
was it the discipline? Was it the discipline of having to actually be like a student again and told you know nothing and having to literally learn the alphabet?
I think there was an element of that. I think there was trying to challenge yourself to learn something new, but it just seemed like good fun. We seen all these
Yeah,
people drinking gin and having a good old time to themselves. We thought we'll have a bit of that. So, but
yeah,
you have to have a qualification to be able to charter it, so that people know you're not an idiot.
yeah, yeah,
Well, different type of idiot.
yeah.
So we did that. It gave us they only give you your keys, away you go. So it's a
Well,
bit
it
like
brings a
that.
whole new dimension. I mean, you've mentioned it there. It brings a whole new dimension
Oh,
to
fabulous.
holidays, to choices, to
It's
family.
freedom. There's freedom. I mean, when you do a charter, it'll allow you to basically create your own journey plan. You moor up in a little cove overnight, game of cards, a bottle of wine on the same. You go to bed, you wake up, you go somewhere else the next day. You go to the harbour, you go to the big city. Fantastic.
Because we did. It's amazing. You just have to remind me. With my 30th wedding anniversary, we went to Malaga. And without license, you can get these small little boats. And they're only, I don't know, 3 meters, 5 meters. They're like driving a baby buggy. But we went out really early and we decided just to float, myself and the wife, on the water. And we looked down, and honestly, there was a pod of porpoises,
Oh, yeah.
and they just shared the moment, Graham, with us, whatever that moment was. And we talk about it now, the calm seas out in the middle. We're in their world, and they decided to come over and say hello. Have you had moments like that
But
yourselves?
absolutely, yeah. We've had those sorts of moments, which are fantastic. We've also had some scary moments where we have got lost. We've had mechanical failures. We've had to be rescued. We've had bad weather. We've had, you know, arguments in harbours with other boats. There's been, but every single one of them's a memory that's it's great, and that's the sort of thing when you get involved in something different like that. It takes you a different um, type of experience. So,
Yeah, yeah. Because that is one of the challenges as we get a bit older, is to keep actually challenging ourselves to learn stuff.
yeah,
And because we're all creatures of habit, aren't we?
absolutely, and that's something my friend who's got to kind of the same level as he did a transatlantic crossing with his teenage son a few months ago. So, it was part of a crew, only 4 or 5 people on the boat. So they've went and built upon it, and that's not for me. I've kind of reached where I want to get with this. So, but it shows you that, people didn't have skills and then they go on and, develop further. So,
or to your point, sharing an experience like that with your son.
oh, yeah.
When we're all constantly sort of all over the world or on screens, to have that, you'll never be able to take that away, right?
Yeah, well, his kid now crew on a super yacht, so he's now went on and got a career off of an interest in something we just did once upon a time on a holiday. So it just shows you.
It's just great, but it's a great story because you can actually make it physical and tangible, and you have sort of all sorts of pros and cons, a bit like anything we do in life. So a quote: you're there, you're on the high seas, you're the king of all you see on the Atlantic. What's a quote that you live by?
Oh, this is kind of this kind of ties in quite nice, right? Because a quote that I like in life was actually one that came from my job. So Wesco, or Anixter as it was, used to have a little book of its values, little blue book it was called. And one of the ones that was in there, it was said, lead or follow or get out the way. And I think that was talked about in terms of business, how we operated as a company. But I use that a lot in life because really it's the same, because you need to be able to let people either lead because they've got the idea, they've got the plan, or get behind them or get out the road. On a boat, it's exactly that, because if you don't, a boat's trying to kill you. That's its job. Everything on a boat's trying to trip you up, trap you, kill you, put you overside. So if you don't have someone who's got a plan, or you don't have people who's behind the plan, you're in trouble. So that kind of crosses across a few different things.
What I really like about that type of a quote, though, it's so simple and you can nearly remember it.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas I find an awful lot of the time that you've got mission statements and mission this and mission that with companies, and they're paragraphs. And nobody can remember the start, never mind the meaning.
Oh, that's a fabulous book. That, without getting into too many of them, it used to have a job description, was a blank page.
Sorry, let's go back a sec. What was this? Anixter's Handbook.
Blue Book, very famous. Now we're now Wesco Anixter, so we're that acquired, but Wesco's a very similar set of values described differently. But the Anixter Blue Book was famous, and it was really a kind of a guide for people who work within the business how we should conduct ourselves. And it was full of little kind of aphorisms like that. Many of them I like.
Follow or get out of the way, and your job spec is a blank page.
Yeah, well, there's loads of them. Do you know I've still got a copy of that Blue Book? I think I could get a copy to you.
Do you know, but all jokes aside, you could go to do 4 years in a Harvard degree for business, and you probably could come out with lots of theoretical shit and probably not get those fundamentals.
Absolutely. Other things that we can't afford, a bad day's business. It's as simple as that. That was another good one. One little lie and you're a liar. So get bad news early, all these sort of things. I am going to get a copy of that book for you, Garry.
Isn't it? But Graeme, isn't it amazing? And we'll spend a moment on it. Is that we've all read long books and long. We all went to school and we did Shakespeare. We did all this. We can't remember a single word of the stuff. It's simplistic messaging written in simple words that, to your point, that you understand.
It's your compass. There's your compass in terms of how you conducted yourself and how you as a representative of what Anixter at the time, how they wanted you to present yourself to the world. And that quote was the one that always stuck to me, because I still talk to my team. So you lead, you follow, or you get out of the way. Simple as that.
Do you know, there's another thing that you've just done about new hobbies or new things, is your frame of reference changes. I'm not sure whether the word compass you used a lot, but I'm absolutely sure you use it a lot when you're on a boat.
The GPSs now, which makes it a lot easier. It's basically sat for boats, but do you know, sometimes they break, they can break down, so you still need to be able to kind of know your direction by compass. So
no, and again, it's very simple. It's easy understood, and the way you communicate, which I really have enjoyed in this show, is that you don't overcomplicate. You present a very simple story, picture, all the rest, and then if you want, I'll qualify it for you.
I'm fine. Yeah, good. I'll tell my wife that. That's the first time everyone's said that I've made not overcomplicated something.
Don't tell me you're married to one of them. Like, really?
No, she's a lovely lady. She will watch this at some point. So.
Yeah, good recovery. Good recovery. I like your style. Graeme, it's been short and sharp. We've been all around the high seas. We've been in Glasgow. We've been in loads of places. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the very best.
You're very welcome. I've got a pint behind the bar, so I'll see you later, Garry, and I'll find that book for you.
Yeah, I've had my cup of tea.
See you later.